So, good day everyone. We are the last group, and our topic is about groundwaters. And the presenters will explain further the topics provided, and we hope you will learn from our lesson. The first presenter will be Miss Sarah Faith Nopal, and the next will be Miss Shalana and Miss Vergara, to be followed with Miss Amania and Mr. Shawan and Sir Taitano.
Water cycle. Water cycle, it describes the hydrologic cycle as the process of evaporation from oceans, movement of most air inland, condensation, precipitation, and runoff back to oceans or the subsurface. It emphasizes the importance of water bodies such as rivers, oceans, and lakes. Nothing if they disappear, humanity would struggle. So we would struggle to meet its water needs. So therefore it expresses or um it is highlighted that we need to maintain clean water sources. This diagram, it illustrates the groundwater flow, depicting how water moves through different layers of the earth, including confined and unconfined groundwater, and impermeable layers. The diagram provides insight into how groundwater exists beneath the surface. The the diagram illustrates the following key elements such as sea level and a nearby river. It indicates water sources on the surface, and perched groundwater is shown as a localized area of water trapped above the main water table. Below the surface, there are two layers, which is the confined groundwater and unconfined groundwater. Confined groundwater, which is trapped beneath impermeable layers of rock or soil. And the unconfined groundwater naman, um, it lies above impermeable layers and can move freely. So impermeable layers, it indicates at the bottom, preventing water from seeping deeper into the earth. Um, the diagram explains how groundwater is stored and moves through different types of subsurface formation. It also involves evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. So evaporation, it is water turning into vapor, and condensation, vapor forming clouds, and precipitation, it is rainfall. This cycle repeats continuously. Surface water, it explains how water infiltrates permeable soil and moves downward until reaching an impermeable layer. So above this layer is the zone of saturation, where all pore spaces are filled with water. And above the zone of saturation is the zone of aeration, where pores are partially filled with air and water. So the diagram, it illustrates the concept of showing surface water, soil moisture, the water table, and the zone of aeration and saturation. It is highlighting how groundwater is stored and moves underground. Distribution of water in the hydrosphere. In the table, it shows that most of the Earth's water is 97.54% is found in oceans, while ice or glaciers contain 1.81% and groundwater makes up only 0.63%. However, groundwater represents 25.7% of fresh water and 98.4% of unfrozen fresh water. So it Groundwater is located just a few kilometers below the Earth's surface. It moves through permeable soil and rock from higher elevations to lower and can become a major water source in areas of heavy use. Though the quality of groundwater it varies depending on factors like rock type, and it is affected by pollution from human activities. Groundwater comes from three main sources: the meteoric water, magmatic water, and connate water. So meteoric water it is from precipitation, and connate water it is through trap and rocks. And lastly, magmatic water it is bound in minerals and released by volcanic processes.
Now, let's talk about the well. A well is a hole that is dug or drilled deep enough into the ground to reach the water table. A well is formed when water flows into and fills up the hole. Wells in permeable sedimentary rock where the gradient of water is good will usually provide an abundant supply of water. The water withdrawn is quickly replenished by the rapidly moving groundwater. However, if the well is too shallow, the water table may drop below the well in dry periods. Spring. A spring occurs whenever groundwater comes naturally to the surface. Some springs are discharged where the water table intersects the land surface, but they may occur where water flows out from a cavern or along fractures, faults, or rock contacts that come to the surface. This may also occur on a hillside where the water table intersects the land surface. Such springs often do not flow continuously, since the water table may drop too low during dry periods. Also, the spring water that contains dissolved minerals are called mineral springs. Examples of these are the alkali spring of the desert, which is unfit for drinking, and also the sulfur springs that has dissolved hydrogen sulfide gas, which gives the water an offensive odor. But spring water that contains large amount of dissolved minerals is supposed to have a beneficial health-giving powers.
Hot springs. Hot springs are formed when water is heated by nearby magma before reaching the surface. Water can also be heated by mixing with steam and hot gases from magma. Hot water dissolves minerals more easily than cold water, resulting in hot springs containing many dissolved minerals. Examples of areas with many hot springs include Mount Makiling in Calamba and Los Baños and Mayon volcano in Albay. Lakes. Lakes are bodies of fresh water or salt water surrounded by land. They are formed in various ways, including glacial activity, tectonic movement, volcanic activity, and river activity. Lakes vary greatly in size, depth, and the types of life they support. They play important roles in the environment, providing habitats for numerous species, regulating water flow, and influencing local climates. Geysers. Geysers are hot springs that periodically erupt, shooting columns of water and steam into the air. This eruption is caused by underground water being heated by geothermal activity, building up pressure until it's explosively released. Geysers also require a specific combination of geological conditions to form. They need to source they need a source of heat, usually from magma, relatively close to the surface to heat groundwater. This heated water becomes less dense and rises through cracks and fissures in the rock. Crucially, the underground system must have a complex plumbing system of interconnected chambers and conduits. The rising hot water expands and builds pressure, When the pressure exceeds the weight of the overlying water column, a geyser erupts. The eruption clears the conduit and the cycle begins again as water refills the system. The timing and intensity of eruptions vary depending on the size and complexity of the underground plumbing and the rate of heat input.
Region of lakes is formed when depression or basins without an outlet are filled with water. So we have two processes for lake formation. So we have the diastrophism. Geological forces like faulting and folding create basins, such as rift valleys and fault block depressions. So, an example is the Lake Baikal in Central Asia. So, next is the glacial action. So when we say glacial action is glaciers erode land and form lake basins. When glacier retreat, they leave lakes like tarns in circus. Many glacial lakes are formed from deposit left by glaciers. So lastly is the volcanic actions. Action. Volcanic action is lakes can be formed when lava flows, create a dam, or volcanic activity leaves behind basin, which is the calderas that fill with water. Life history of lakes. So, a life history of lakes is emphasizing that lakes are temporarily features. The two key reasons for their disappearance are number one is the filling with sediment from streams, wind, or a landslide. Water next is the water drainage, where changes in climate or water flow lead to the lake drying out. So as lakes fill with sediment, no, okay, they turn into marshes, pit, swamps, or plains over time.
So, swamps are basins filled with water containing fresh and decayed vegetations. They are transitional stages between a lake or pond and dry land. So, swamps are basins filled with water. So, it contains fresh and decayed vegetation. So, it is a low flat area that's filled with waters, and the water is slow moving, allowing plants to grow and then decay, creating a mix of fresh and then rotting vegetation. So if you really want to see swamps, you can search it, and the Great Dismal Swamp, that is the examples of swamps. So uh, swamps accumulate swamps accumulate vegetable matter that decomposes, forming peat. So this peat is crucial for the productions of coal. So uh swamps are like giant compost piles for plants. As plants die and decay in the waterlogged environment, so they form a layer of partially decomposed materials called peat. So over a millions of years, this peat gets buried deep underground and transform it into coal, valuable energy resources. So there are three main types of regions where swamps are commonly found. So this is the glaciated regions, coastal regions with poor drainage, and floodplains of rivers. So swamp can be challenging to rain due their fertile soils, but also serve as breeding grounds for mosquitoes, uh, leading to disease like yellow fevers and malaria. So, yes, swamps have a rich soils, making them good for farming. So, however, they're also uh, they're also there are also which makes them hard to drain. So this wetness also makes them perfect places for mosquitoes to breed, spreading disease like yellow fever and malaria. So swamps are a double-edged sword, good for growing things but bad for health if not managed carefully. So, rivers are natural streams of water that flow in specific directions. They only drain about 60% of the world's land surface and are not present in areas with porous rocks or where excess moisture turns to ice. So, yeah, rivers like flowing highways. Uh, For water always heading downhill, they can only drain about 60% of the land because some places are too dry and too rocky or too cold for rivers to form. So, glaciers take over the role of rivers in colder regions where water freezes. And then, yes, it is cold places where uh, water glaciers act like giant, slow moving rivers. They carried ice and water downhill, that shaping the land just like regular rivers.
Rivers. Rivers are natural flowing water courses that typically originate from springs, melting snow, or rainfall. They flow downhill due to gravity, carving channels and shaping the landscape. Rivers play a vital role in the water cycle, transporting water from higher elevations to lower ones and supporting diverse ecosystems. Streams. Streams are smaller, narrower, and often shallower than rivers. They are typically fed by rainfall, springs, or melting snow and flow downhill, carving channels through the landscape. Streams are essential for the water cycle and provide habitats for various aquatic life.
Now, let's proceed to the Philippine rivers. Agusan River. Agusan River is the biggest and longest navigable river in Mindanao. It is 220 kilometers long and originates from the mountains of Davao del Norte, passing Agusan del Sur, and finally emptying in Masao of Butuan City. Agusan River is the main outlet of the water in Agusan River Basin, which has an area of approximately 11,000 square kilometers. Did you know that as early as the 9th and 10th centuries AD, the mouth of Agusan River was already an ideal and important sanctuary for the seafarers? Eventually, settlements existed along the inlet's shoreline. When the Spanish colonizers came, the river became their highway for further penetration of the hinterlands of Caraga. Spanish religious missionaries traversed this fluvial road on rafts and canoes to reach out to the settlements of along its coasts. Did you also know that at the time of the Filipino-American War, the Filipino revolutionaries sunk a big rocks in the passage right at the islet of Pungtud to prevent the American aggressors from reaching Butuan via the river? And as a tribute to the patroness of the Agusan River, Señora Santa Ana, the Abayan Festival was born, a day-long celebration of baroto races and fluvial procession at the Agusan River. Agno River. The Agno River flows from north to south, emerging from Cordilleras at San Manuel and San Nicolas, Pangasinan, dividing into several waterways in the central plain of Luzon. It winds through major communities in the provinces of Tarlac and Pangasinan. Agno River has a total of 221 kilometers and a drainage basin at a project of 1,225 square kilometers. Fun fact, the Agno River is the third largest river in the Philippines. Cagayan River. Cagayan River, also called Rio Grande de Cagayan, is the longest stream in Luzon. It begins its 220-mile or 350-kilometer course in a twisting pattern in the Sierra Madre in northeastern Luzon. It then flows north into a 50-mile or 80-kilometer wide fertile valley that is important for the cultivation of rice and tobacco. Iligan, Isabela, Tuguegarao, and Cagayan are major riverine towns. Chico River. Despite the name of mountain province Chico River, small in Spanish, a reference to its bigger eastern cousin, the Cagayan River, this river can be huge and is the premier whitewater playground for Luzon and has given us a tribal adventures, wonderful experiences, and has given a large number of paddlers in the Philippines their first tastes of kayaking and rafting. Pasig River. The Pasig River, or Ilog Pasig in Filipino, is a river that drains Laguna de Bay into Manila Bay. It stretches for 25 kilometers and divides Metro Manila into two. Its major tributaries are Marikina River and San Juan River. The Pasig River is used to be an important transport route in Spanish Manila. However, due to negligence and industrial development, the river has become very polluted, and according to ecologists, this river is considered dead, not able to sustain life. Puerto Princesa Subterranean River. This is a World Heritage Site and one of the longest navigable underground rivers in the world, which features cathedral-like caverns and domes. This underground river is home to other cove-dwelling fauna. Its location is in the province of Palawan. Ambukla River. The Ambukla River is located in the mountains of Bocad Benguet and is about 36 kilometers northeast of Baguio City. During the 50s, the Ambukla Dam was the highest and biggest in the Far East. It is made of earth and rockfall, which measures 129 meters in height and 452 meters in length. The elevation of its crest is 758 meters, and the roadway that runs through the top of the dam has an elevation of 756 meters.
A waterfall is any stream descending suddenly from a higher level to a lower level. Now, there are two classifications of the waterfall based on the amount of water present. If the volume of the water in a waterfall is small, it is called a cascade. If it is large, it is called a cataract. So waterfalls are usually formed when the rivers flow from any area of resistant rock to an area that can easily be eroded. The soft rock downstream is gradually worn down by stream erosion. Waterfalls are also formed when glaciers have dug river valleys deeper than their tributaries or in places where a river channel is raised. We have here the Philippine waterfalls. The first in the list is Hinulugang Taktak. It is located in Antipolo, Rizal. Hinulugang Taktak in Antipolo, it is a popular mountain resort. But the waterfalls are said to be no longer as pretty as before. It is a beautiful waterfall that is the pride of Antipolo, Rizal. Next, we have the Tamarao Falls. Tamarao Falls is a beautiful falls that can be found on Puerto Galera. It is 15 kilometers away from the town proper and is near to the village of Villaflor. A natural swimming pool is found at the base of this waterfall. So the natural swimming pool is due to the impact of the continuous waterfall. And then we have the Pagsanhan Falls. Pagsanhan Falls is a popular day trip at about 100 kilometers southeast of Manila, located in Laguna and the province near the town of Santa Cruz. And we have also here the Daranak Falls, which is located in Tanay. A fresh waterfall plunges 14 meters down to a shallow pool. We have also here the Hawili Falls. It is located in Tangalan, Aklan. It has 7 basins, tiered about 20 meters apart. The highest basin is about 100 feet high. It is oval shaped, around 240 square meters feet, and it is estimated to be 8 to 10 meters deep. Next topic is the importance of groundwater resources. Groundwater constitutes a valuable resources of man in order to exist. Being an integral part of the hydrologic system, it is intimately related to other parts of the system. Its importance can be seen by comparing its volume with the quantity of water in other parts of the hydrosphere. Almost all water resources, especially the oceans and deep subsurface openings, have relatively big amounts of dissolved minerals and are not usually used for the essential needs of man. If the freshwater resources are to be taken into consideration, the biggest volume exists as glaciers. Now, glaciers are the purest reserve water in the planet Earth.